Good evening. I'm Patricia Vallone with a CTV News update. Maryland coronavirus numbers are soaring with more than 2,900 new cases today. 19 people have died from COVID-19 over the last 24 hours, bringing the total to more than 4,200. The state health department reports that more than 1,100 Marylanders are currently hospitalized with the virus. Meantime, during a recent press conference, County Executive Angela Brooks warned residents about the surge during the cold weather months.
As the cool weather comes in, that apparently the virus travels more easily during cold weather, that the humidity and heat prevented the virus from entering the nose, but as the temperatures drop, the virus it's easier for it to travel and it can more easily get into your nose. So yes, the point of the matter is this is not forever, God willing. But we want people right now to take the actions that are necessary so we can get this thing behind us.
For the second consecutive week, the University of Maryland is canceling a football game because of COVID-19. Head coach Mike Loxley has tested positive for COVID and is isolating at home. But he's not the only member of the football program. Officials say 15 players and 7 staffers have tested positive in the last week. As a result, this weekend's game against Michigan State has been canceled. Last Saturday's game against Ohio State was also canceled as well. For the second time since the pandemic began, Governor Larry Hogan has signed an executive order making hundreds of prisoners eligible for early release in hopes of slowing the spread of the coronavirus. About 1,200 prisoners could be let out early. The order assesses eligibility based on the age of the inmate and whether they are nearing the end of their sentence. Prisoners will be tested before they're released. The move comes as the state is facing a 2-week-plus stretch of record-setting coronavirus numbers. Sex offenders and those convicted of violent crimes are not eligible. Attorney General Brian Frosh is seeking $22 million in state funds to assist financially strapped Marylanders facing eviction. The money would be used to assist residents with free legal representation in eviction, foreclosure, and debt collection proceedings. In a letter to the governor, Frosh says the money allocated so far is insufficient to meet the increasing demand for legal help caused by the pandemic. Frosh is asking for an additional $20 million for the Maryland Legal Services Corporation, plus another $2 million in housing and financial counseling services. Well, as we told you earlier this week, Hyattsville Police Chief Amal Awad is stepping down to take over as Chief of Police for Anne Arundel County. Chief Awad, who was tapped to lead Hyattsville in 2017, credited her predecessor, Doug Holland, for implementing reforms that she built upon. Under her leadership, Awad diversified the force, increasing minority representation from 36% to 56%. She spoke with CTV News about her plans for Anne Arundel.
I don't want to go in and make any immediate changes unless there's a critical issue looming. I'm going to go in, I'm going to learn. I'm going to ask our officers what we do well, what we don't do so well, what we could improve upon. I'm going to have that very same conversation with all of our community stakeholders. I think it's important, just as I spoke to the African American Museum of History and Culture tour, it's very important to, enlighten yourself, educate yourself, find out what the critical issues are so you can begin that work.
And Chief Awad's resignation takes effect December 16th. Well, AAA Mid-Atlantic is out with its holiday travel survey for the Thanksgiving weekend, and this year the results are quite different than in years past. According to that survey, 90% of Marylanders will not be traveling for Thanksgiving. Respondents tell AAA they plan to stay home for the holidays. With coronavirus cases surging across our region, health officials are warning against holiday travel and gatherings. 65% of those who say they're staying home cite COVID-19 concerns.
So I think they're listening to what public health officials are saying, and they're listening to what the governor is saying. But all they need to do is look across the state and look at the latest numbers, and you see cases surging. And if you are going away for the Thanksgiving holiday period, more than likely you're going to spend that holiday with an older person or a person in a vulnerable age group. So the question is, the next time you see your loved ones at Thanksgiving may become the last time you see them alive. And that's what people are weighing.
Of those who indicated they will be traveling, more than 60% will be driving, 26% will fly, and 10% will travel by bus or train. And as we mentioned, despite those increasing cases, many Americans plan to travel by plane to visit family during the holiday. TSA anticipates that next Wednesday, November 25th, and Sunday, November 29th, will be the busiest days to travel. Before heading to the airport, the agency is advising travelers to enroll in the TSA PreCheck program. Also, officials encourage you to know the COVID rules of the community you're visiting. Meantime, nearly 3,000 TSA officers have contracted COVID-19 since March. A Maryland man has been indicted for threatening Democrats Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. A federal indictment against James Dale Reed was handed down yesterday. He's accused of leaving a letter threatening Biden and Harris at a home in Frederick County last month. He was arrested shortly after the incident. A local mayor receives a special award from his alma mater. City of Bowie Mayor Tim Adams recently received the 2020 University of New Orleans Homer L. Hitt Distinguished Alumni Award. He's the 37th person to receive the award that recognizes alumni who have contributed significantly to their communities and the university. Adams is also celebrating his one-year anniversary as the City of Bowie's first African-American mayor.
I think as the first African-American mayor, it's a great deal of honor and privilege. And I think it just shows that the city has progressed so far. I think the actions we've taken as a city council, shows how the city has moved forward. Adams
was sworn in on November 18th, 2019. Greenbelt police are investigating a fatal shooting. Officers responded to a report of gunfire at 5821 Cherrywood Lane about 6 last night. They found an unidentified man suffering from gunshot wounds. He was transported to a local hospital where he later died. Anyone with information about the shooting is asked to contact authorities. And Prince George's police have identified the victim in a fatal hit-and-run crash in Capitol Heights. He's 47-year-old Keith Warren. Officers were called to the 1700 block of Kenilworth Avenue around 8:40 Tuesday night. That's where they found Warren unresponsive on the roadway. He died later at a hospital. Police say they're looking for a black or dark-colored vehicle with damage on the front driver's side. Anyone with information on the incident is asked to contact police. Well, many of us have assumed that the coronavirus has helped the Earth heal itself a bit due to less pollution from vehicles and industry. Now NASA has research to back up that assumption. Since the pandemic began, space and ground-based observations have shown that the atmosphere has seen significant reductions in some air pollutants. Through computer models, researchers can now attribute that decline to changes in human activity during the shutdowns.
It depends a lot, obviously, on where you are. If you are close to a roadside where it is very polluted, we did see that the concentrations would actually drop by like 80% or even 90% in some locations. So it was a very, very significant reduction. We estimate that sort of like across the entire US at the beginning, kind of like end of March, April, that it will go down by maybe 30 to 50% overall on average. And ever since it has sort of like slightly recovered, but it's still not back to normal. So we're certainly not in a normal state yet, but we're not, we're now maybe minus 10% or minus 20% from where we would be in terms of nitrogen dioxide.
In other space-related news, a U.S.-European collaboration will launch the first of 2 satellites this Saturday that will track sea level height over the next decade. The satellite will add vital measurements to a nearly 30-year record of sea level observations and give valuable insight on how oceans are responding to climate change. As temperatures drop, the need for coats and gloves grows, and that's why the Prince George's chapter of the Top Ladies of Distinction is stepping up and hosting a clothing drive this Saturday. The group will collect new and gently used women's coats, pajamas, hats, and gloves. The donated items will go to residents living at the United Communities Against Poverty shelter.
We're going to have a limited number of volunteers simply because we want to act out of an abundance of caution. and reduce or minimize the threat of transfer and transmitting the COVID virus. So we're going to be working in shifts. We're going to have someone assigned to the parking lot, at least 1 or 2 persons, to handle the flow of cars. We're looking for this to be a drop-off sort of event. You're going to simply pull up, you're going to pop your trunk and direct us to the bag that's in the back or in your back seat of your car. We're going to reach in, grab those things, and we're going to send you right on your way. Thanking you, of course, for your donation.
You can drop off donations at the UCAP building in Capitol Heights. The event takes place from 11 a.m. until 1 in the afternoon on Saturday, November 21st. A local eatery says despite being hit hard by the pandemic, it's still standing strong. A Place to Walk To, located in Hyattsville, is known for its comfort food, including chicken and waffles, macaroni and cheese, and shrimp and grits. When the coronavirus first hit, the diner was closed for about 2 months. Pre-pandemic, it averaged 50 to 75 customers daily. Now it's down to 20 a day.
We didn't think that we were going to be here right now. And the fact that we've survived the first wave of COVID, and we're still here, I think we have a strong situation on our hands, and it's something that the people want.
A Place to Walk To first opened its doors in January. Well, now let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, clear with a low around 27 degrees. Friday and Saturday, sunny with the daytime temps are going to reach about 63 and a low of 43. Sunday, partly sunny with a high near 61 and a low of 43 degrees. Now for your community calendar, Prince George's County Public Schools invite you to another Teletown Hall Forum. Tonight, officials will discuss transportation changes that will be implemented when schools reopen for in-person classes. The town hall will be held at 6 p.m. on the PGCTV YouTube channel. A recording of the presentation will be available immediately after the meeting. And that wraps up our newscast. I'm Patricia Vallone. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.
For the latest information on COVID-19 in Maryland, visit the State Health Department website. That's health.maryland.gov. Again, health.maryland.gov. Click the link to the COVID-19 Information portal. There you'll find all the latest information about coronavirus. You'll find daily updates on cases and fatalities. Answers to questions about testing and the governor's stay-at-home order are available as well. For specific information about Prince George's, visit princegeorgescountymd.gov. That's princegeorgescountymd.gov. The site offers information about local services for residents and businesses. There's a link for COVID-19 relief donations. Also, food pantry locations are listed. And if you have any questions, call the county COVID-19 hotline at 301-883-6627. That's 301-883-6627.
My God.
It's another sad day in America.
Painful to be introduced to George Floyd during his last breath.
With the cop's knee on his neck.
He deserved so much more.
How many black lives have to be taken before something is done?
We are not a threat.
I am shaking as I type.
This has got to stop.
We are sick of it.
We need conviction.
I just want us all to live.
The deaths will not stop until the powers that be are finally held accountable.
Don't look away from the truth until every one of us are free from white supremacy.
The world stands with you. Aucune pitié, aucune compassion dans son regard.
Criminalizing and killing of black and brown bodies is not new. It's as old as America. It's just getting filmed more.
Do you know what it feels like to be hunted? To have a new hashtag for a dead black person every single day? How does one plan a life if they aren't sure they will have a life to plan?
Deborah Dan,
Megan Nina Pop, Stephen Clark, Nia Wilson,
Keisha Mike,
Christopher Dion,
George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd. Say his name.
Say their names. Once again and always, we fight for justice. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Rest in power, beautiful.
Go to blacklivesmatter.com.